right, so hi there. We are here and it's November. It's already November. And we're starting off this week with the topic of diabetes. So I don't have as many wildcard books as I used to, that being books that aren't on the same topic, books that aren't on the topic of diabetes. This week, I have only books on the topic of diabetes because we've been doing the wildcard books for a while, and I don't know. I think we might be getting close to breaking into the amount that we set for the fundraiser. So I don't know. I'm just going to take a slightly different approach today and look at one of the books on archive and then see what happens. Because still doing a little bit of experimentation to find out the best way to do the weekly Wednesdays. Making the lessons, I think, provide a pretty good example for just, using different tools. But I think it's good to kind of move into something a little bit different. So this month, we'll see if we can mix it up a little bit again. But of course, we'll still at least finish up with an itinerary. So diabetes this week so far, I've shared a couple of trivia questions, two of them related to a conference about diabetes and diabetes technology. One of the conferences that I shared happened already this year. The other one, though, is supposed to be hosted in Singapore, but I'm not entirely sure about that one. So if you're interested, I would suggest looking into it, seeing if it really is associated with the other one. And yeah, but I put both of them as trivia questions. And the advertisement that they have for these conferences, they do seem comprehensive. And like there's always new diabetes technology. Speaking of diabetes technology, the color of the posts this week is orange. And apparently a good number of the machines that check for the blood sugar level indicate, how well or how concerning the person is doing with their blood sugar, with yellow, orange, and green. So orange is supposed to be a space where it's high, but it's not at an emergency level. Red would be at the emergency level, and then green would be normal. And so for someone with diabetes, they might be pretty used to seeing orange. It's a little high, but it's not bad. It's not so bad. So orange worked out. If it weren't orange, it might have been red, which also would have worked for the topic of diabetes and, checking your blood sugar level. Now, on Monday, the trivia question was related to the man who didn't discover insulin. Apparently, it was a couple of people, 2 people discovered insulin, but this other guy discovered why insulin works. That was an interesting little difference there. And he was an author who did the research and found why insulin works. So we'll see what comes up today. Actually, I didn't save the book. We can still do the quiz. I'm just going to bring up the book. Usually I save it. I haven't saved the book somehow this time around. So something with type 2 diabetes. It's funny how the books are so different. Let's see. Putting Your Patients on the Pump is one of the books. Diabetes in Practice is another one. The one that I'm looking for is Medical Management of Type 2 Diabetes. Great. The other one is Diabetes Technology, Science and Practice. And the last title is Intensive Diabetes Management. So a lot of talk about diabetes. I personally miss the wildcard books, right? I don't know. We'll see how it goes. The idea is that most of the time we do wildcard books because there will always be some type of a fundraiser. But I don't know. This week is just all diabetes. Okay. So let's go ahead and find a quiz and then I'll share my screen. So diabetes quiz. To tell you the truth, there's no real reason for me to think that we're anywhere close to the $10 million. I just felt like I should mix it up a little bit, and that seemed like a good enough reason. I mean, hey, any day could be the big day. All right, pre-diabetes quiz. Diabetes, let me share my screen first while I'm looking. Diabetes quiz. Diabetes trivia, free. If nothing comes up, then I'll search free. All right, type 2 diabetes, diabetes knowledge quiz. Yeah, let's try this one. How much do you know about types of diabetes? Is it just one of the long? Okay, cool. Which of these is not a type of diabetes? Pre-diabetes, gestational diabetes, type 2 diabetes, or type 3? I think it's type 3. Correct. Next. True or false? Type 1 diabetes is when your pancreas doesn't make insulin, so you have to take insulin every day. I think that's false. I think it's type 1 diabetes where you have to take it every day. I mean, I think it's type 2 diabetes when you have to take it every day. Yeah. Let's see. Oh no. Because people with type 1 diabetes don't make their own insulin, they require daily doses of the hormone to stay healthy. All right. So type 1 is the more severe one. True or false? The CDC says that 96 million adults in the United States have prediabetes. That's more than a third of adults. Unfortunately, more than 84% don't know they have it. I mean, I guess that's true. Correct. Which of these is a risk factor for type 2 diabetes? Oh my. I know it's all of the above. Yeah. Which of these is a sign of type 1 and type 2 diabetes? Blurry vision, sores or cuts that are slow to heal, feeling extremely hungry, having more infections than normal. Type 1 and type 2? I think all of the above is true again. Yeah. True or false? Everyone with diabetes has symptoms or notices them. False. There is a cure for diabetes. True or false? A cure? What makes it a cure? No, there's no cure. There's just a management for it. Even though, well, I guess it depends on how you think of a cure. Prediabetes can be reversed? Yes. All right, cool. So let's look into type 1 versus type 2 diabetes. Type 1 versus type 2. What's the difference? Learn what symptoms and treatments set these two types of diabetes apart. Type 1 diabetes. The body is unable to produce enough insulin. It's caused by genes and environmental triggers. It affects almost 1.9 million Americans. Treatment, taking insulin daily for life. Lifelong autoimmune disease. Type 2 diabetes. The body becomes insulin resistant, caused by genes and lifestyle factors. Accounts for more than or equal to 90% of all diabetes cases. Treatment, lifestyle changes, and medication. Possible to go into remission. Symptoms. So type 1 diabetes is basically, it's like true, serious diabetes. Blurry vision, extreme thirst, frequent urination, weight loss, and yeast infections. So I'm just reflecting a little bit. I portray a good number of diabetes symptoms, and I know a lot of it has to do with lifestyle, and a good number of my family members had or have diabetes of some sort or pre-diabetes. One thing that I relate to for sure is the symptoms, right? I mean, I've always had blurry vision, so I don't know if it's related to diabetes. I don't think I'm in a position where I can use blurry vision as a symptom because I already have eye challenges. But extreme thirst, I don't think I have extreme thirst. I don't think so. I usually have to remind myself to drink water. But the thing about that is, I was thinking about this the other day. You know, when you're really scared of everything and you can't just go around being scared of everything all the time. I mean, you could, but if you kind of just accept, okay, I'm scared of everything, then at some point you'll probably come up to a situation or approach something that is truly scary, but it won't trigger as scary for you because you are used to ignoring your scared feelings. So I'm wondering if that's how I am with being thirsty for water. So, yeah, maybe I'm so thirsty all the time that extreme thirst for me really is just me thinking I'm casually thirsty. But I don't think so. Frequent urination, I do deal with that one. I've always dealt with that, but it's just too much information. Apparently, it is too much information, but I'll keep going. I also have dealt with other complications that impacted my bladder function. So frequent urination wouldn't necessarily let me know that that has something to do with my insulin, but I do think that it does. One thing that I was told a long time ago that's a pretty good indication that you have diabetes is the scent of your urine. And that was the main thing that made me think that I have diabetes, other than hearing that a lot of my family members have diabetes a long time ago. So, type 2 diabetes. That's a lot of diabetes. I mean, if this affects almost 1.9 million Americans, and this accounts for, this is greater than, okay, or equal to 90% of all diabetes cases. That is a lot of people with some type of diabetes. Is this for real? That is a huge amount of people. I mean, should I set up the equation to figure out what this is? All right, everybody. Let me see if I can get a little free whiteboard, free digital whiteboard. Now, I am not in any way, shape, or form any type of professional. Let me just make that clear. I'm not medical or any other type. But I have pretty good sense of things, but those senses are often changing and updated. So anyway, what I'm saying is the best of my knowledge. But there's no reason for it to be seen as much more than an account of my personal experience. This is because if I'm not speaking about a learning tool that I've already used, then I'm usually finding a new one. Wait a second. Are you trying to tell me I already signed up for this? Hold on. Am I about to find a really old thing that I did? Or is this? I'm about to find a really old thing that I did a long time ago. I don't think so. Am I? Suspense is challenging me. Yeah, no, I didn't make this. Yeah, no. No, I have made flowcharts with my students. Should I tell this story? Yeah. So I have made flowcharts with my students. Flowcharts are great. I think this was another time I was doing this grade 9 focus class, and the flowcharts had to do with homework, you know, excuse me. I made students at the beginning of the year put together a flowchart for what they would do when they got home to help them do their homework. And it was really just a way for them to reflect on what they already do. And a good number of them were in a position where they didn't have a system, and it just kind of put them in a tangible realization of, oh, I don't have a plan set that will put me in a better probability of being successful when it comes to doing my homework. So I don't know if I asked them to either map out what they do or map out what they think they should do, but it was good. It was really, really good. I liked it. I liked it quite a bit. But it was funny because some of them, so, I don't remember, of course, I don't remember it in detail, but some things are just shocking. And the specifics, like, think about snacks. Try not to be distracted. Yeah. I think some of the, like the time that they would get home, stuff like that, like some of them might put sports practice or something. I don't remember entirely, but it was good. I was really pleased with that assignment because it's one of those assignments where everyone can do it. Nobody can say, really, genuinely, I don't know how to put shapes together and put words on them, right? Did it make sense? Maybe not. Did they use the proper placement of the shapes? And like every shape has a different meaning or whatever. So anyway, what is this? I don't know. You use diagram. I mean, I'm an intermediate. I'm done. Cool. So I really like flowcharts for things like that. It's a good tool to use when you're teaching classroom management at the beginning of the school year, too. And you can have students make posters, and it's a really easy thing to scaffold, especially if you're the type that doesn't mind putting together craft like activities where you put together some triangles, some rectangles, some circles, and you just have students map out the daily schedule or the routine or expectations, things like that, in a flowchart. Maybe they read it in a paragraph and then they have to do it in a flowchart. It's just something to do. And then when you want to give students assignments and things like that, maybe you'll try doing it in a flowchart instead of just writing it in a paragraph, because the visuals can help with students these days. I don't know. Did I do that? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But sometimes when you're planning ahead, things like this are helpful. And students can come in every day and they can look at the flow chart and they can be like, oh, thank God. It's the same setup, but they know to always look into a certain part of the flow chart where things are going to change. You know what I mean? It's something like that. Another thing about the homework assignment was that it was a great way to assess students' understanding of relatively straightforward instructions and how they were able to overcome misunderstanding or communicate misunderstanding. Because some students, it was hard to tell if they just didn't understand or didn't try. But there were other students where it was pretty clear where they tried and didn't understand. Or other students who understood but just did not try. It's funny. It's funny how you can see some students work and they think that they're looking like they did their best, but they're just so high, as you say, that you can tell that they knew. They just didn't try. It's really funny. But it's not bad. It's not bad at all. Honestly, a lot of times it's just a matter of being able to have a conversation. Like, hey, I noticed you used all of the shapes in the right part of your diagram. You just didn't really describe anything. So the main part of the assignment was for you to describe your homework situation. They're like, oh yeah, I didn't understand the concept of the, yeah, you did. Yeah, you did, because you used all the correct shapes. But I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Of course, it's possible for that student to have not realized that they also needed to fill it in. It's possible they spent a lot of time making sure they got the shapes right. Don't get me wrong. I know. But sometimes in the middle of the conversation along with the artifact just kind of put it all together. Okay. Why am I here? We were going to do a math problem. This is not what I want. Why is this a diagramming thing? I just would like a regular sketch space. All right, well, I think you can change it. Containers. Blank diagram. Lucid. And make a copy export file. Select view layers. Guides. Is there a pencil tool? There wouldn't be a pencil tool on a diagramming thing. We're gonna have to try again to find. Now, in the olden days, we would just go into a Jamboard and everything would be fine. But I don't know if Jamboard sold its programming. No. Was it otherwise acquired? Oh. Apparently, Jamboard was just too good. Let me see. I know they closed down Jamboard. Let me see if there's something else similar. I don't remember them saying it would be replaced by anything called something different. No, I most certainly miss Jamboard. Does Google miss having Jamboard available? I think so. Anyway, should I tell stories about Jamboard? Jamboard was amazing. Okay, Jamboard was basically slides, but it was one slide, except for it wasn't. You could add up to 10 slides. And people could just go in and draw and share the screen. And at one point, they changed it so that you could upload a background. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was amazing. So basically, I would make these templates for the background. And then students would go in, they would do those Freyer models, and so many other things, man. So many other things. I don't know if, yeah, apparently, I know this sounds wild, but things like this happen for some teachers. And I think it happened to me. Sometimes students, for whatever reason, okay, are encouraged to not engage well with certain types of teaching practices at their schools. I know that sounds wild, but sometimes things are just a little bit too technologically forward. And I think that's what happened with me using the Jamboard. It just didn't seem fair or something, but it was a very easy thing to use. Anyway, so let's see if I can find something like Jamboard. What even are these meetings? There's search. Okay, 15 virtual whiteboard Jamboard alternatives. Ooh. That you can just click and then it's just, is it whiteboard? Hold on. There's something just called whiteboard. Miro's one, but it's also not one. Miro also doesn't have pencils. Miro or pens or whatever. Anyway, let's see. I found out Miro did. Maybe Miro does, but I don't think it does because a lot of those programs don't. Because anyway, so we were looking at just how many people would have to have 90%. Like how many people would it be for 90% of type 1? So basically it's going to be type 1 over type 2. Okay, so that equals 10 over 9. Sorry, what? Because I'm doing type 1 over type 2. Yeah. And so then that means type 1 has 1.9 million. I'm doing something backwards. Accounts for 90%. Type 2 diabetes. There's another way I can do it. Type 2 diabetes, it also worked the same if I just did, yeah, so type 1. This doesn't make any sense. Okay, now I got it. Type 2 diabetes is 9, and then type 1 diabetes would be 1. So sorry about that. All right, so 1.9. So pretty much we're supposed to be doing 1.9 times 9 divided by 1. That's 17.1 million people. Now, if we're not sure if it's 17.1, is 1.9 divided by 0.1? 1%. Yeah. What's not right about this? Are my decimals wrong? Because if it's 90%, should be 0.9. It's because I didn't do the decimals here. So anyway, it's 0.9. It's 0.1 over 0.9. Everything's fine. The decimals are bad. Let's try it another time. So it's 1.9 times 0.9 equals divided by 0.1, which again is the same. Just make sure. Yeah. Yeah, that's 17.1 million people. How many million people are there in the United States? And then I'm going to be done with this. How many million people are in the United States? $347 million. So 17 million isn't that bad. It keeps blowing my mind how many people are in the world. Do we have an accurate number of the number of people in the world? That's a lot of people. So 17 million actually isn't that many. And that's still a lot. I'm just wrapping my head around some other numbers that have nothing to do with diabetes. And I'm like, wow, okay. So yeah. Let's make the itinerary. This book that we have for today I mean, Jamboard is one of those things that would just be amazing at conferences. So I hope conferences have them. I hope Jamboard, exactly as it was, exists somewhere else, somewhere. Okay. All right, medical management of type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes. A word about this guide, contributors to the 5th edition, and then diagnosis and classification. So types of diabetes, mellitus and other categories of glucose intolerance, type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes, the metabolic syndrome, other specific types of diabetes, pre-diabetes, gestational diabetes. Evaluation and classification of patients before treatment. I'm not interested in this. I gotta tell you something. I don't know what types of diabetes mellitus. Let's look at that. This is on page 3. There's a lot in this book. Page 3. The classification of diabetes mellitus includes 5 clinical classes: type 1, type 2, other specific types of diabetes, gestational diabetes, and prediabetes. Okay, now you lost me. I did the math incorrectly. I knew something was wrong with this math. Hold on. Hold on. It's not the 1.9 is about 10%. That's 9. No, it's still, so that's 1.9. It's still, I don't know what this number is getting to me. So, all right. Let's look at these other specific types. The presentation of these patients varies depending on the underlying disorder. A careful medication and family history will help identify these patients. Usually these patients are age greater than 30 years at diagnosis, are obese, or have a high percentage of abdominal fat, and have a family history of type 2 diabetes. However, along with the increase in obesity, type 2 diabetes in children and adolescents has become more common, particularly in minority populations, because hyperglycemia at early stages may not be severe enough to cause symptoms of diabetes. Many are identified during routine screening. However, complications of diabetes may present at diagnosis. They are not prone to ketoacidosis except with severe physical stress, although children and adolescents may present with ketoacidosis without evidence of autoimmune destruction. The disease progresses slowly, and the treatment necessary to control hyperglycemia varies over time, including weight loss and lifestyle modification, oral diabetes medications, and insulin therapy. Man. All right. I think I want to see if there's a workshop on baking desserts with little or no sugar. In person. Make low sugar treats at home. Indulge in low sugar treats at home with the sweet virtual class. Create delicious desserts. Discover our diploma. Easy, healthy, sugar-free dessert challenge. I'm sorry, but I don't think so. competition? There's got to be a sugar-free baking competition. Oh, nice. The Splenda Low to No Sugar Showdown and the annual. Is that real? We're doing that one. We're going to do the Splenda Low to No Sugar Showdown. Does it still? Let's see. Splenda Low to No Sugar Showdown 2025. Oh. If you compete with a sugar-free, no added sugar recipe at any state fair, one of the above or other, and use Splenda, we invite you to share it with us. That's different. Yeah. And then there's the sugar-free cake of Hungary competition. Is this real? Okay. Local. Wow. Sugar-free baking club. sugar-free bakery. How about that? Most loved sugar-free bakery. There we go. I'm just going to say Chatilla's. Oh my gosh, is this real? No. Corazon Cake Company, sugar-free sugar-free bakery for tourists in Italy, Europe. Let's see, Europe. Oh yeah, sends a pin. Is this real? It's fake. Yeah, it doesn't seem like sugar-free is a thing that happens in Europe, but all right, sugar-free cafe. Yes. Is Boyer Cafe real? Okay. The story menu. They have a sugar-free. I'm not seeing the sugar-free. Well, this is challenging, right? Sugar-free beverages. The Boyer Cafe sugar-free beverages. Boyer Cafe sugar-free beverages. Yeah? No? Just the Boyer Cafe. Okay. So at least we kind of found the spot before the end of the hour, right? Or at the end of the hour. But putting it in the itinerary, what could we do for the study. So we have the travel, we're going to the Boyer Cafe. You get a sugar-free drink, right?